obviously, we'll get back in business in a minute, but obviously if you were at home and working on this, you'd have a little more time and, you know. But some people have gone all the way through, so they've obviously got the idea. So let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot, and let's start with the. Let's get back in business now. Let's get back in business, and let's give it a shot with the very first chart, which is the S&P 500. So were you able to get this data? All right, and where was the S&P as of its close yesterday? 1430. All right, 1430. Great. And just 1 minute. There we go. All right, 1430. And what did you get for the earnings per share? 19.15. Is that right?
Yes.
Does everyone?
Yes.
Okay. Well, hold it. Hold it. No, that's not right. Wait a minute. You're giving me the PE. You just gave me the PE, right? What were the earnings per share?
74.
74. Now let's look at the. Well, that's just about where they were on the chart, right? Now, and what is the PE? 19 something? So it looks like the S&P has risen considerably from when this was drawn, but the earnings per share and the price earnings ratio are more or less the same.
Yep.
Now let me ask you this generic question. Which rose faster from 1995 to the year 2000? The S&P or the earnings? Between 1995 and 2000, which rose faster, the S&P or the earnings?
S&P.
The S&P. And that was a sign of speculation. Which rose faster between the year 2000, or I should say between the trough, which is 2003, which rose faster, the S&P or earnings? Earnings. What does that tell you? It tells you that investors have become more cautious and have learned from the experience of the late 90s. In other words, even though, let's put it this way, before I say even though, did earnings recover or have earnings recovered dramatically? Yes. And remember, this is earnings per share. No, okay. Have earnings per share recovered dramatically? Yes. But have investors this time pushed the stock market up to new heights? No, the PE has not risen back up to new heights. As a matter of fact, it's continued heading south to about 20. Does everybody see that? Mm-hmm. So therefore, as much speculation in today's market as there was 10 years ago? No. So investors are a little more cautious. Let's push on. Here's our chart for earnings. Have earnings recovered dramatically since the recession of 2000?
Yes.
Spectacularly. Mm-hmm. So no problem with earnings. And this tells you why the stock market has bounced back. The stock market would never have bounced back if profits had just flatlined. Earnings came way back. Now, why did earnings come way back? Well, how about the margins? What's happened to the profit margins?
Goes down.
In other words, did the profit margins recover nicely from about 2000 to about 2005?
Yes.
Yes, the profit. What was the latest number you got for your profit margins? No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I put my question incorrectly. What was the latest number you got for this chart for the ratio of price to unit labor cost?
We made an adjustment to our original statement.
You made an adjustment to your original statement. All right. Let's see. Now, unfortunately, what I've done is I've magnified this. So 100, 102. So now we're at about 103, right? Is that so? That's about where it is today. Has it stayed more or less where it is today? Is that true? You said about 103. Anybody get a different number from 103? Now let me ask you this question. The profit margins recovered very strongly. But are they continuing to go north the way they had? In other words, looking right over here, is it an unbroken record heading north? No. And so therefore, what does that tell you?
Cost going up.
Caution, right? It tells you that the profit margins may have stalled. Does it necessarily mean they're going to fall? No. Stay tuned, right? But they're not going up continuously. In other words, they got up about as high as that record in the late 90s, and now they've stalled, right? And the question is why? What's going on? Everybody see? So we've got to dig beneath the data. Now, some of you went on to the next chart for manufacturing, right? And let me just say a word about that. Because that one, and you can see we're up to a pretty high level here. It got up to about 8 cents. In other words, this is looking at manufacturing, and this is a clear record of profits. In other words, what it's giving us here is manufacturing profits in cents per dollar of sales, right? Manufacturing profits in cents per dollar of sales. So it looks like we were up to 8 cents there. 8 cents, and about 8 cents is about as high as it got. So about high as it went in the late 90s. So is it still going north? Stay tuned, right? Maybe it's stalled at 8 cents. Maybe it's going to head south. We've got to plunge in and look at more data, right? We've got to plunge in.